Everybody, please log in. Okay, it's 5 o'clock, and we'll call the Barron County Board of Supervisors for Monday, August 17th, 2026 into order, and check in for roll call. My screen's blank too, Jess.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I guess I gotta hit that.
Stacy, I'm going to mark you as present. All right, and everything has been noticed according to the open meeting laws in Wisconsin.
So we have 24 present, you said? Okay. Okay, the invocation will be by Pastor Wendy Slayback from the First United Methodist Church here in Barron.
Hello, welcome, and thank you for including me. Let's bow our hearts in prayer. Almighty and all-loving God, you are the sustainer of life and creator of the universe, and you've called this room full of leaders to serve as public servants here in Barron County, working for the good of all our neighbors in each of the beloved communities represented here. Thank you for giving them the courage to run for office and the dedication to serve on this county board. And grant them now the wisdom and creativity and perseverance to do this work well. Help them to see the whole picture, not just of budgets and agendas and motions, but of the real life impact they get to make in every decision. Show us a vision for the peace and prosperity of our county, and teach us to pursue that vision day by day. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Pastor.
You bet.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 4, special matters, proclamation. You got 'em, Jeff?
We just signed the proclamation, or chairman did, for Think Train. They always ask us, they always want municipalities to sign on to that. And then on item 4B, that was at the request of one of the county board members from last month. So that was provided to us by the president of Mosaic. So it's just informational only. That's all that I have.
Okay. Item number 5, approve the agenda. Motion by Supervisor Bukowski, seconded by Supervisor Heller. Is there any questions or concerns on the agenda?
We can pull item number 12. We have nothing.
Okay. Oh, item number 12 will be pulled, so Scott and Dana, are you okay with pulling 12? Okay. All right, any other questions or concerns? Not, all those in favor, or let's vote. That passed with 24 yes and 5 absent. Thank you. Item number 6, approve the minutes of July 20th, 2026. Again, motion by Supervisor Bukowski and seconded by Supervisor Heller. They must have the fast ones today. Any other questions on the minutes? Yeah, yeah, it is. Yep. Okay, no concerns with the minutes. Let's vote. Is that a yes, Scott? All right. Okay, that passed with 24 yes and 5 absent. Thank you. Item number 7, public comment. I don't believe we had any. Item number 8, the presentation on our county insurance policies. Is that you, Wendy?
All right, good afternoon or evening, however we're going to look at this. I'm going to go over the county's insurance policy, or our insurance program, real briefly with you. We're going to cover our liability, property and auto physical damage, workers' compensation, equipment breakdown coverage, storage liability, and our crime policies, which I'm sure is really exciting to most of you. So if you could go to the next slide, next one. So our liability coverage is provided by Wisconsin County Mutual Insurance Corporation, which is a municipal-owned insurance company. I believe there's 58 counties in Wisconsin that are included in it. There it is. Our limit of liability insurance through them is $10 million, with some exceptions depending on the type of coverage that applies to that particular incident. Our deductible is $25,000 per occurrence with a $100,000 aggregate. That aggregate is covered through a deductible fund escrow account that we have set up with Wisconsin County Mutual. So any claims that we would have throughout the year would come out of that escrow account, and then at the end of the year through the budget process, we would backfill anything that we took out of that. Next slide. So our liability coverage is kind of broken into 4 main components, which would be the bodily injury, bodily injury and property damage, personal injury, errors of omissions, and then a criminal defense reimbursement option also. The bodily injury property damage is what you're probably mostly associate insurance with, pays for harm or damages caused by that we caused to other people or their belongings when the county is at fault. Personal injury is more of your emotional or psychological or reputational damage, such as slander, libel, copyright infringement, and those types of things. Or errors and omissions would include the professional liability coverage for some of our staff. And then again, the criminal defense only triggers if there is criminal misconduct in the scope of an employment for one of our employees, that would kick in. Next slide.
It also covers our supervisors, right?
It does.
Yeah.
Yes. So the cyber enhancement endorsement is one that has been up front and center for the last couple of years. This is included with the policy at no additional cost at this time. Wisconsin County Mutual looks at this endorsement every year and tweaks it based on what's going on out in the real world. It's an ever-changing threat. As you know, cyber attacks are in the news just about every day. Washburn County had an episode about 2 weeks ago. A lot of the universities across the state and country have had cyber attacks lately. So it's very important, and they really keep this up to date with what's currently happening.
And Wendy, you mentioned Washburn. They had quite a time of that. I don't think it's all fixed yet. They were able to keep the dispatch, but they lost pretty much everything else. So
Yes.
it's really important that stuff that Lance sends to us to train, that we do that.
Yeah, and it's amazing that, just clicking on one wrong thing can really take down the county or, even larger ones. Dallas, Texas had an incident, I believe, in 2023. It took them over 30 days to get their systems back up to 90%. That's a lot of lost productivity, records. There's so many things that can happen. HIPAA breaches, monetary losses. It's just huge. So we encourage you, anytime you get one of those simulations or the quarterly training videos, that you make sure that you take advantage of them. Any questions on that? Okay. So Wisconsin State Statute 893.80 is what kind of defines how claims are handled. Most little ones, a windshield crack or, something pretty minor, we handle pretty quickly through the insurance company. But some of the bigger ones fall under this 893.80. It outlines the rules and procedures for filing a claim against a governmental body in Wisconsin. They have to make notice of injury, and that must be filed within 120 days of the incident. The county and our insurance company will investigate it, and then the county has 120 days to either approve or deny the claim. If we take no action, it's considered disallowed, and then that 6-month time frame starts ticking, in which they would have to bring a lawsuit. If we want to get it moving a little faster, you'll see us bring a claim to the county board to make a formal disallowance. That just gets that 6-month time frame moving a little bit quicker. All right, next slide. So property and auto physical damage coverage is also through Wisconsin County Mutual. The county currently has $283 million worth of insured assets. This includes buildings, personal property. Property in the open is considered anything that's like within 1,000 feet of a insured building. So it could be like the signs at the campus, the dugouts, expensive light fixtures that are not affixed to a building. And as far as buildings, personal property and property in the open, we have about $252 million worth of assets. Those would include all of our buildings, including like snowmobile bridges, our dams, and then also the structures at the campus and the museum. Contractors' equipment would mostly fall to the highway department, but other departments do have equipment that falls in there as well. We have about $18 million worth of equipment. We have a $10,000 deductible on those, and we insure about 400 pieces of equipment. Auto physical damage would be all of our vehicles, which would be sheriff's department, highway, maintenance has vehicles, health and human services has a vehicle, and then we also have like our fleet vehicles, which are used for routine appointments for any staff that needs to use them. We have about $12 million worth of vehicles with a $5,000 deductible. And as you know, it doesn't take much to cause $5,000 worth of damage anymore. The bulk of those claims are going to fall mostly deer hits with the night shift of the sheriff's department. When you're driving at that time of day, it's just something that's going to happen when you're putting those kind of miles on at that golden hour that the deer love to run across the road. Next slide, please. So workers' compensation is governed by statute 102. We don't have a lot of say in how these are handled. We do work closely with our insurance company. We have, excuse me, next slide, please. We do have that coverage again through Wisconsin County Mutual. Claims management is provided by Aegis Corporation. We've worked with them for a number of years. They've handled claims for Wisconsin County Mutual since their inception in the mid to late 80s, I believe. We do have a 24-hour-a-day nurse case management line. That's where an employee would call in and kind of instigate that claim. The nurse will talk with them about what happened, get all of the information. They can help them set up appointments, help them find urgent care. They will also get the paperwork to the clinic or hospital so that we get the billing correctly and get any work slips, taking them off work or putting them on restricted work. They take care of that for us. They also have dedicated case nurse management for some of the more complicated claims. They will work directly with the employee and the doctor so we can try and get them back to work as quick as possible. Next slide. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about the premiums for work comp because those are the ones that we actually have a little bit of control over how that premium works. They're calculated based on projected wages by class code. So depending on the classification code that the employee is working in, the more dangerous jobs have a higher class code rating. So that's how those premiums are calculated. Our wages are audited annually at the end of the year. And then if we had higher wages than we had projected at the beginning of the year, we would pay an additional audit premium. If our wages were lower, they would credit us back some of that premium. There's an annual experience modification factor that applies to all businesses in the state. It's basically a way of putting the classification codes put every employee in that particular class kind of on a level playing field. Where you have a little bit more control is through the mod factor. It's basically acts as a credit or a penalty depending on your claim's history. A 1.0 is considered average. If you are below 1.0, it acts as a credit or a discount to your premium. When that modification factor gets over 1, it is basically a penalty added onto your premium. Can we go back one? This slide here shows how that modification factor is calculated. Takes the 3-year rolling average of claims data. When you have a medical-only claim where someone is not taken off of work, they do discount those claims by 70% in the calculation. This is the calculation for us a couple years ago. Unfortunately, our mod factor right now is slightly over 1. So we do show that in the, let's see, can you go forward? Next one. One more. One more. Other way. There we go. And you can see here how that modification factor plays into the premium. So you can see when the mod factor is over 1, you're seeing higher premiums. But then a couple of years later, when that mod factor got below 1, we were seeing, you know, a 26 or a 16% reduction in those. So right now we're digging out of the hole of being over 1%, and we have a claim right now that is having a significant impact on that. So we're hoping in the next year or two, we're going to be back under 1. And this is just a 5-year snapshot of the claims data from 20 to 24. Some years are better than others. We do aggressively try to get people back to work as quickly as we can. And we do work with the departments on issues when we see a trend of what's happening. Slips, trips, and falls are a lot of them. In this day and age, you can't really do a whole lot without ending up with a surgical intervention, whether it be a broken thumb, shoulders, all of those can get really expensive. So we are working directly with the insurance company and the case managers to try to minimize those as much as we can. And next. So equipment breakdown coverage is one that we don't use a lot, but could become a really expensive claim based on what it covers. So it is for mechanical breakdown of mechanical, electrical pressure systems resulting from failure. Covers loss of business, which would mostly apply out at Waste Energy. Coverage is provided by Hartford Steam Boiler Inspection Insurance Company, which has been in business for well over 100 years. It covers critical mechanical, electrical pressure systems due to a sudden or electrical malfunction. Could be a power surge, could be lightning. It could be just that something internal caused that to stop working. Could be the boilers, generators, refrigeration systems. You know, our jail kitchen has, you know, a lot of inventory on refrigeration, as does our Meals on Wheels kitchen, as does our public health with immunization supplies. All of those have to be, you know, kept at routine temperature. So if we were to experience a power surge or a mechanical breakdown of one of those systems, it would cover the repair, replacement, and replacement of the contents. Again, not one that we use very often, but we did have a boiler boiler failure at Waste Energy about 10 years ago that took one of the boilers offline for a fairly extended period of time. It did cover the replacement or the repair of the boiler and also the business interruption because they had to bypass a lot of waste through that period of time. And finally, storage tank liability. Pretty simple. The county has 5 above ground and 2 underground tanks that hold what could potentially be hazardous waste. This provides liability coverage should one of those tanks fail. Helps with corrective action, defense costs if that would happen to, leach onto someone else's property, and would help us get that cleaned up, which can be pretty costly. Next slide. That's it? Oh, there we go. Crime policy. This one is one that could piggyback off of the cyber liability, depending on how things would go awry. This one used to be known as the public officials blanket bond. It does cover all employees and all elected officials. In the event that we would experience an employee theft, forgery, alteration, theft of monies or securities, computer fraud, again, that cyber piece, money orders, counterfeit money, or a fraudulent impersonation would provide coverage for anything like that would happen also. All right, any questions?
Okay, thanks, Wendy. You did a great job.
All right.
Okay, item number 9, presentation from West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission with Susan Baskey and Amanda Veith. Take her away, Susan.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Chair Oki and supervisors, for allowing me to be here this evening. As Chair Oki stated, I'm Susan Badke, and I'm the Executive Director with the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. At your place is a packet of information that contains our 2025 annual report. So if you're interested in learning more about us beyond what I'll share tonight, please take a look at that annual report, as well as some additional information on our services and resources, and our contact information in case you want to be in touch about a potential project for the county, your community, have a question as it relates to demographic, economic data. We're here to help. We are your Regional Planning Commission. Just a quick show of hands, how many of you are familiar with the Regional Planning Commission? Okay, seeing quite a few hands go up, but there's a few folks that aren't familiar with us, so I will take some time to walk you through about who we are and what we do. So next slide, please. So the Regional Planning Commission is a planning and technical assistance organization created under state statute. The West Central Regional Planning Commission was created in 1971, and it wasn't created as kind of from a top-down approach. Rather, it was created at the request of our 7-member counties to work on regional issues and also to have someone that the counties could go to when they didn't have staff available. So we are here, we provide assistance, and are happy to help the county and communities. There are 9 regional planning commissions throughout the state of Wisconsin, so those are shown, and if you want to follow along, there's a copy of the presentation in your packet as well. I see a few of you have that out. But there are 9 regional planning commissions throughout the state of Wisconsin. We are identified on that map as RPC number 9. We serve 7 counties in West Central Wisconsin. So on our west end, we have Polk and St. Croix, and then hitting Barron, where we are tonight, Dunn, Chippewa, Eau Claire, and on our far east side, we have Clark County. Next slide, please. We are governed by a 21-member commission with 3 members from each county. Our Barron County commissioners include your county board chair, Mr. Oki, Supervisor Fowler, and Supervisor Wenzel. So those 3 represent Barron County on our commission. Our commission helps to determine our program activities for the year and tries to be responsive to the needs of our counties and our region. We are a staff of 13, and we have a wide variety of education and experience. And any one of these folks who are on the screen are always happy to chat with you and provide information on our services. Our goal, which is established under state statute, is very broad. So we are to assist our units of government in planning for the physical, social, and economic development needs of the region. And that's intentional because our needs change over time, right? The needs of our counties, our region, they change, and we try to be flexible and respond to the needs of our counties. Our general service area, next slide please, can really be summarized into kind of 4 groupings or 4 buckets, as I like to say. So economic development, transportation, community development, which is all encompassing of really everything that we do, and then environmental or conservation planning. So a few project examples. This is some example projects that we've worked on in the county over the last 2 years. Include working on the county's hazard mitigation plan. So we've assisted with that update. We also assisted the county in updating its outdoor recreation plan, a few community assistance projects. Safe Routes to School is one of our transportation focus areas, along with municipal outdoor recreation plans. We've worked with communities on applying for and administering Federal Emergency Management Administration or FEMA projects, safe room projects. Those are eligible and kind of stem from the hazard mitigation plan. So hazard mitigation plans are a prerequisite for being eligible to apply for FEMA grants, along with a few other projects, transportation planning, economic development planning. One project that I'm going to highlight is just the county's outdoor recreation plan update. So the county has an outdoor recreation plan, just updated it in 2025. It's a 5-year plan, so you're eligible and have that plan in place for 5 years. Essentially, that serves as the county's framework for outdoor recreation, park investments, and makes you eligible for grant funding. Positions the county outdoor recreation plan is a prerequisite for recreation grant programs through the DNR. You may have heard of the Knowles Nelson program. That has gone away. Maybe it will resurface someday. But there are still other grant programs that the county would be eligible for, including Land and Water Conservation Fund. That's a federal program that's administered by each state. Applications are typically due in May. So we don't just do our planning to plan, but our plans include recommendations that can then help the county and set forth some implementation recommendations for advancing, whether in this case it's outdoor recreation, but advancing outdoor recreation in the county. Quick snapshot of our budget, our operations. We have about a $2 million, just shy in 2026, close to $2 million budget. Of that, about 16% is made up of what are called our levy or our membership fees. So annually, each of our counties pays a levy or a membership fee. You can see that's about 16%, but we have a wide variety of other sources, primarily federal sources, U.S. Department of Commerce through the Economic Development Administration, some DOT dollars, and then our contract projects. As I mentioned, our 7 member counties annually pay a levy or a membership fee. This helps to cover some of the matching funds. So I mentioned transportation funds, economic development administration, and allows us to provide some technical assistance and provide advice at no cost, as well as prepare grant applications that allow us to leverage various funds. As I mentioned, the 7-member county levy fee covers about 16% of our overall budget. In 2027, you could see our request from the county is about just shy of $36,000. Our 2027 funding request will be used to provide similar activities that were completed in 2026. We're currently working to secure grant funding to support an agricultural economy strategic plan. I'm hopeful we should hear about that to the end of this month, and I think that would be an excellent opportunity for us to recognize agriculture in our 7-county region is, one of our largest industries. It's important that we focus on that and identify some ways that we can maybe diversify, support agricultural tourism, value-added agriculture, and just explore and have a conversation as a region about how to advance agriculture in the region. We're also exploring some other planned educational events on a variety of emerging land uses. And again, I will just add we're here as a resource. We're a partner. Whether it's at the county or whether it's in your districts, if your communities have any projects, need assistance, please reach out. My contact information is in the packet. And so no hesitation, reach out to me, reach out to another staff member. We're always happy to chat with you. And now I'll turn it over to Amanda Veith. She's the lending specialist with the Regional Business Fund. She'll provide a brief update on activities in Barron County. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. As Susan said, my name is Amanda Veith. I'm the lending specialist with the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. Most of my time is devoted to working on the contract that they have with the Regional Business Fund. The Regional Business Fund, if any of you are aware, is a nonprofit that was created by the West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission to administer business revolving loan funds, and then they have a staffing contract with the RPC. The Regional Business Fund is governed by a 9-member board of directors that weigh in on our policy and procedure, guide staff, and decision some of our loan requests. You can see the board members on this slide. There's one from each of our 7 counties and then 2 at-large members. You'll see that Mark Eby is your Barron County representative. He joined us earlier this year, and we've really appreciated his service and input thus far. Here you can see our 7-county region that mirrors the Regional Planning Commission's region, but then the Regional Business Fund, we offer low-interest loans to businesses that provide an economic benefit to the region. We house 8 different loan programs seen here. They're flexible and can be used for a variety of business needs, and they do not compete with traditional banks and credit unions. Rather, the programs that we have can provide an additional source of capital if and when needed. I'm not going to go into the details of all of the programs, but if you have questions about those, you can contact us, check out our website. There's a pamphlet in your packet that you can look at, and if there's ever an event that a business or a community event that you'd like to present at, please reach out. We can go into more details about those there. I'm going to showcase a couple of Barron County businesses from 2025. This first one was Evergreen Artisan LLC. They were established in 2023 to operate a custom engraving and gift creation business. It's owned by Samantha Davis. They utilize one of our microloan fund to purchase additional equipment to grow her business and provide working capital for her online presence, so she was really able to grow her business. This one is Christine's Dance Company. They've been around since 2008. They've been a part of the Rice Lake community for 16 years, coaching dance for 3 to 18-year-olds. They purchased a historical building in downtown Rice Lake and renovated it into a state-of-the-art dance studio last year in 2024 using the revolving loan fund. They also took advantage of our facade loan program to renovate the exterior, as you can see here. So far in 2026, we've assisted 7 businesses, 2 with expansion, 4 business acquisitions, and 1 facade loan. We currently have 2 facades in progress, 1 expansion and another acquisition. So it's been a pretty active year. Our average is 9 to 10 loans a year. This slide shows kind of a snapshot of our, since inception, how Barron County's activity has progressed. They have assisted 195 businesses, including 100 startups, with almost $9 million in financing. They've projected or retained 560 jobs in the county and leveraged around $51 million in private funding. And then I would just like to thank the Barron County citizens that contribute to our organization in different ways. This slide shows you our Barron County Loan Committee members. They decision most of our loans that I work on. And then a big thank you goes out to the Barron County Economic Development Corporation, the Economic Development Director, Dave Armstrong. We work very closely with him as our boots on the ground. Some other economic development partners that share our information and refer RBF information to potential borrowers. So thank you again for having us tonight. I'll invite Susan back. If you have any questions for us, please let us know.
Does anybody have any questions? You did an excellent presentation, and I know it is important that you work with our local loan committee and Dave Armstrong, and you do, so I know that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, excuse me, item number 10, the presentation from the Pioneer Village Museum. Mark Doberfeld.
Well, good afternoon or evening. I look at this august group, and I know about a third of you as friends, and about 2/3 aren't friends yet. So let me tell you who I am. I am Mark Doberfeld. I practiced law here in Barron for 35 years, and I was your family court commissioner for 13 years. My friend, Mr. Mensch, would come every Friday morning, and we'd have an hour together in court, and he was prepared every single time for all 13 years. Sometimes you don't realize how good people you have. The next thing is, after I retired, I drifted to the museum and I got on the board, and I've been chairman for about 10 years or so. And if anybody wants to contact me for anything, Jeff knows exactly how to find me. I have with me our development director, John Mitchell. He spoke here a month ago on Ojibwa Village. John is a Cameron boy and grew up in a great big pillared house in Cameron across from the grocery store. And he had a career in the movie industry in California. And then he got some sense and decided to come back to a real world. And now he's back and lending us his time and talent, for which we are very, very grateful. We're also very grateful to you, and in particular the property committee. You realize that you renewed our lease and added the new property to it. And so we're good for 99 years, so none of us have to worry about that anymore. The next thing is the movie. Are we ready for that? Two minutes.
Above Rice Lake, with the goal of capturing the history and people of the area for future generations to be able to remember the past in order to understand the present and learn from our shared histories. In 1964, this group negotiated the use of the former Barron County Game Farm just outside of Cameron at what would later become the Pioneer Village Museum. Since then, the Pioneer Village Museum has grown from its humble roots of a few historic buildings that were moved from various parts of the county onto the museum's old Main Street, to a sprawling outdoor museum with nearly 50 buildings, hundreds of exhibits, and dozens of entertainment and educational events each year. Those events run the gamut of regional entertainment that has been tremendously well received, including a fully functioning pioneer-era blacksmith shop, a Native American powwow, the Past Reflections car show, the Cameron Bluegrass Festival, and the most popular of them all, Christmas in the Village. With a commercial-grade kitchen, a sound-ready entertainment pavilion, a 19th century church, and numerous buildings for public use, the museum can also host weddings, corporate events, and even a 100th year birthday party. But now, the Pioneer Village Museum is looking to take it one step further with the addition of a new museum headquarters, archival library, and a tourism welcome center for the region, becoming not just the hidden gem of Northwest Wisconsin, but a well-known gemstone of exceptionalism for education, entertainment, and tourism throughout the state and the Midwest. Join us as we embark on our journey in bringing history to life with the new Welcome Center at the Pioneer Village Museum. Welcome to the future.
Thank you. That's a creation of John, and he does that for us, and it improves our visibility.
The Barron County.
Talk a little about impact that the museum has for the county, cultural, economic. One day I'm working in my yard, and a big county highway truck stops in front of my house, and the driver hops out, and he comes and asks me some questions about putting stuff up for snow and stuff like that. And then he says, you know, I really appreciate what you're doing there out at the museum. That's like a monument you're building that'll last for 100 years. And I said, I never really thought of it like that. I just thought about paying the bill that's due next week. And he's right. That is a 100-year monument. Now, John, as he goes around and collects subscriptions from various people who support us annually, he hears the same thing. We have between 12 and 15,000 visitors per year. About half of them come from out of the area. We think that's a good thing for tourism, that we are a magnet for tourism. We have school tours in the spring. This year we had 3,200 students and leaders from 43 different schools. That's a few more than are in this county. And we might even start a second round of school tours when the Ojibwa Village opens. We had 2 foreign groups there this year, and we have camps for young people, pioneers, Indian skills, frontier living, very, very popular. A lot of kids sign up for that stuff. But we also serve old people. We've got volunteers, roughly 250 of them. And some of you don't know what this is like, but as you get old, you gradually get marginalized. And it really helps. Some people use us as their social interaction group and a sense of purpose and a sense of being useful. And, as your body starts to deteriorate when you get old, we have positions that are easy. All you have to do is sit in a building and talk to people. And most of us can handle that sort of thing. So we are happy to help people still make a meaningful contribution to society. We've got no sales tax, so we don't generate any sales tax revenue. I'm sorry. We're a nonprofit and we don't charge it. But we do have a $260,000 budget, which we basically spend all locally. Of that budget, $38,000 comes from you, and it's been that way for years and years and years and years. Inflation has gone everywhere up, but except our allotment. And then when we want to build a new building, first thing you have to do is look for money. And so we look for grants. And I don't know, I think in your material you have 2 pages of 40 grants that we've applied for. They're so boring that I'm not going to give them to you, but I want to tell you about a few of them. The first one was this matching grant where the governor said, if I will give you up to $1 million if you can raise that for building a building. So John and I went out and we had a little help from Bob Lentz, and we went out and shook some trees, and we got $750,000 and we submitted. And what do you know? There were about 400 applicants who qualified, and about 50 projects of that 400 who were funded, and we were one of them. And so we felt that was pretty good, that our county was on the state register in the top 50 group. And they called us up and said, we'll give you 90,000. We said, no, wait a minute, 750 and 90, that doesn't quite come up. They said, take it or leave it. So we decided to take it. And then we discovered that they want a mortgage on the property for that 90,000. I said, I can't give you a mortgage, we don't own the property. So once again, our Genius Corp Counsel goes to work for us, and he finds the right person at the state to talk to, and this lawyer and I talked this out. And I don't know if anybody's got farming background, but you remember we used to have chattel security agreements that we'd give for cattle and machinery to the bank. So I drafted an agreement kind of like that, giving him an security interest in our furniture. And he said, that'll do. And so we got the 90 grand. I thought that was pretty good. We raised so far about $1.8 million for our building. It's just about done. Dave Armstrong helps us a great deal. He helps us with various tourism grants, and he also helps us with some ideas. We've got a few things that we've postponed or will eliminate, and they include parking lot lights and flagpole and underground connections. The bid was $25,000. Big sign by the road, $60K for a sign by the road. We got the electronics bid at $67,000. We said, whoa. And so we trimmed it back a little bit and had them put the wires in, but now we have to buy TVs and cameras and computers to connect to those wires. We've got tables for about $1,500 and chairs for about $4,000, and shelving. Aaron is helping us with what the county wants, but unfortunately the county wants a lot of stuff and doesn't have too much to throw away. So we'll do what we can with that. And then we've got this little trump card. It's the Dave Armstrong $250,000 Economic Development Grant. And he told us from the beginning, I'm going to get that for you guys. I'm going to get that for you guys. Well, when it came time to apply for that, we looked and it said something, this is an urban renewal grant for rural cities, you know, like, you know, Farmers Union has an old fertilizer shed in the downtown that's falling down. And we said, Dave, this doesn't apply to us. We're not urban and we're not renewing. And he said, I think I can get you around that. So I said, all right, have at it, friend, have at it. So we'll see what Dave can do for us on that one. The current state of finance, all of the construction bids are funded. I have a problem hiring somebody for whom I don't have enough money to pay. And so I won't hire somebody until I've got enough money, and I'm proud to say that we've got enough money to finish up the building. And then the blacktopping, $77K for that blacktopping, over 100 tons of blacktop. And you know, I'm on the county board, I'm on the town board. And the last time we bid a road project, Monarch was $60 per unit and Barron County was $40 per unit, a full third less, because we have our own blacktop plant. We look at that and we say, man, are we grateful that the county can do this job. Saves us somewhere around $40,000. And, you know, the county can only work for certain people for blacktopping, and so it's basically all the taxpayers. We're just saving the taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars with that blacktop plant, and so I'm really appreciative to you guys for keeping that thing going. Then I want you to know a little bit as a consumer of products that the county sells here. The crew, excellent job, excellent work, and all the edges done. And I've had blacktop jobs done by Monarch too, you know, and the county just did an excellent job and very friendly and very pleasant to deal with, answer all the questions, come when they say they're going to, stuff like that, very communicative. You know, Commissioner Nelson could get a few kudos for that. When we started this project, we had a professional fundraiser who wanted $78,000. So we looked at it and we talked to people who used them, and you know what he did? He told people how to raise money. Okay, you asked the gas station guys this week, now this week you asked the banks, this week you asked that. So, well, if we're doing all the work, what do we need you for? Why do we have to spend $78,000 to some fat cat in the cities? So we terminated our agreement with him and we did it ourselves. Now, I've never raised money before, and nobody likes to raise money too much, but John and I have had quite a bit of fun with that, and we've had some help, like I said, from Bob Lentz. We also had an architect that came in at $260,000, and I looked around a little bit, you know, and Greeners will draw up a plan for $5, not $260. And then Cooper Engineering, they have to do all kinds of studies of the soil and stuff like that. That cost $18,000, and, you know, I actually learned something there. I learned that water does run downhill, which I'm encouraged to know. And then they have to hire an architect to submit the plans to the state, and that cost us it cost us 30 grand. A nice little retirement gig, you know, do that a few times in retirement, that helps a little bit. And then Northwest Builders became our salvation. They took these hand-drawn, well, these CAD-drawn plans by the lumberyard, and they turned them into biddable specs so that we could bid this project. And so we've got our engineering basically for $53,000, saving $207,000, which I thought was a pretty good deal. Some of our big guys pay pledges over years because they're pledging large amounts of money. We have about $137,000 on these pledges that is still outstanding. Likelihood of collecting them about 90-some%, very good. And then I have to tell you a little bit about one of my favorite contributors, Jack. So Jack, in the beginning, we collect these pledges and we get a pledge for $30,000 from Jack Nesson. And I say, who's Jack? I asked the museum guys. Nobody knows who Jack is, so I make a point of finding out who Jack is. He says, well, I've got another $20,000 minimum required I have to do, so I'd like to give you that too. So now we're up to 50. And then he doesn't mail his checks, and he comes and drops them off at my house, and he's dropping off the $20K, and he says, you know, year's coming to an end, and I've got another $53,000 of minimum required that I've got to take, and I was going to give it to this charity, and they lost their 501c3. So, you know, their mistake might be your gain. And I said, thank you, we'll be glad to take it. Now we're up at 103. And my wife, who's a little smarter than I am, says, well, Jack, with that kind of money, are you interested in looking at naming rights? He says, yeah, I'd look at naming rights. And he looks at the schedule and he says, what about this $250,000 one? Will I get credit for my payments if I take that one? I said, yes, indeed, you will. We'll make that work. So then he also says that I will pull money early if you need it. You know, like if we want to close out contracts in spring and we don't have the cash yet, you don't have to wait till November or December to get it. So I call on him to do that, and he brings in some of that money. And then he's just musing there, and he says, you know, I'm 90 and my wife is 83 and she's failing in health, and I just want you to know we really like the way you manage this project, and we're going to give you money every year. And when I die, we're going to make a substantial bequest to your endowment fund. Well, our endowment fund right now is $2,000, and it's a little weak. And so we're pretty excited about that. And we're excited about that for another reason, because in the beginning, we had a major contributor. I won't tell you his name, but if you drive past the Cumberland Library, you might figure it out. And we talked to him, and he said, how much is the county giving? And we said, well, the county's not giving anything. He said, why don't they have any skin in the game? If they don't have any skin in the game, I'm not going to give you anything. And so we were a little sad about that. And we quickly switched conversation and said, hey, if we can pull this off, you know, you consider giving to the endowment fund. He said, well, I might consider taking a look at that. So if you're at all inclined to help us with this project, there's an idea. You know, come up with a number, 100, 250 or something like that, and say, I will match, you know, whatever you get for the endowment fund up to this amount. Something like that, provide a matching grant for us. Or another way that you can help us would be to take our director, who makes $52,000, and make her a county employee with benefits. Our current director is going to retire in about a year after we get moved into the new building. The heir apparent is a young one who has no benefits, and it's hard to keep people when we pay them so poorly. And so it really helps to have benefits to pay them, so that's just another option. Many people on this board have contributed. If anybody wants to that hasn't, you're sure welcome to do that. Few big events coming up. Let's see how much time I have. 3 minutes, okay. Ojibwa Village this weekend. It's going to open Friday, and it's going to, the powwow's on Saturday. It's at 5 o'clock p.m. Friday, 11 o'clock Saturday. We're having all kinds of big shots there from the Indian nations, from government officials, and you are clearly government officials, and you're welcome to be there and take a bow. It's all paid with earmarked donations. Discover Wisconsin is going to come and record it on TV. We have a fall finishes event coming up sometime. First 100 people who sign up will get to contribute to help us close up some of these deals. Early November, watch for that. And we've got a big anniversary. September 11, 12, and 13, the 20th, Bluegrass Festival is going to be there. So those are all exciting things for you to come and participate in. We're, of course, all weather dependent. And I think I have a minute or so if I have any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mark? Did a great job on supervisor efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was just wondering where on the grounds is the new village?
The Indian Village?
Yes.
It is in the northeast corner. Behind the fence, outside of the fence, it's an area of woods that we had, and we made the paths in the woods, and they are building the, and the Indians are doing this, not us, not the Europeans. That's important to me. I want an Indian village. I don't want a Northern European Indian village. And they are building the wigwams there, and it's coming out pretty nice. Okay. It's going to be a huge attraction, we think, and it's going to, in the long run, be maybe our biggest generator of revenue at the gate.
Supervisor Gores.
Yeah, is there going to be like a open house or something like that for when the center opens?
We expect to do that, and we're not quite sure, you know, we're a bunch of amateurs and volunteers, and we're not quite sure how to pull that off. We think we want to have it finished by the time we have an open house, and how much of exhibit preparation, you know, it's going to have permanent exhibits and stuff, have to be done before we do that, we're not sure. But we think that's going to happen sometime in spring. The contractor expects they'll turn over the keys at the end of November, I think. So, you know, we should have control of it over the winter, and we should be able to get settled in by then to have an open house.
Supervisor Patty Anderson.
Hi. Under 4, under the impact cultural, you mentioned on when you were at G, you said that the county gave $38,000. But then when you told Jack's story, you said that the county doesn't give anything.
The county gives us that for operating funds each year, the 38,000.
Okay,
On the other one, it was on the building. How much is the county going to pay towards a new building?
oh, got it. Okay, I didn't understand that part. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, thanks, Mark. You did an excellent job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next item number 11. Initially, we had a resolution for the purchase of property in the town of Doyle for Barron County forest purposes, and we were going to need 3/4 or 22, but that's really needed when you actually borrow the money. So tonight, the resolution is just for us to apply for the grant. And if you know, or apply for the loan, excuse me. And that loan is no interest rate at all, and the principal is paid back by sales of the logs in the forest. So, and okay, Doug, did you want to talk about that program a little bit? Doug's with the DNR. Okay, we get a motion that we approve the purchase of the property. Motion by Supervisor Moen, second by Supervisor Heller. Thank you. Go ahead, Doug.
Sure, I have Doug Brown, so I'm the County Forest and Public Land Specialist for DNR. I've only been with the dark side, as everybody likes to call it, for the last 10 years. I did come from 2 different counties. I worked for Marathon County Forestry Department, and I worked for Lincoln County. Total like 19 years. So I got a lot of county blood still coursing through these veins. And DNR hasn't got all the way in there. So I just want to give you a quick little overview of, it should be coming up here. Quick little overview, just the county forest program, and then just the ties that between the county and the department, as well as get in some of the, not quite the nitty gritty. He already gave a good recap on what the loan program is. So just wait for. Uh-oh. And I didn't bring my interpretive dance as a backup just in case something didn't happen right. Cheap shared whatever little flash drives they give us. The blank screen looked a little better. You got more yellow in yours. I'm all white. You got more color in yours yet?
The name of the file? Doug, do you know the name of the file?
Yep, it'd be Barron County Board, August 20th. There you go. Now, if you just want to click to the, because it'll come in a series, that way I don't overload everybody. The bottom.
If you click slideshow, it'll start.
Yeah. Or
Click slideshow up
bottom
here.
right one. That's the actual.
Slideshow from beginning. Is that, then you just gotta click down here.
All right, yep, next one, please. So, quick overview of the program as a whole. Go ahead. So, 72 counties, 30 counties have enrolled in the law. It's based under state statute 2811. So, this has been, it's a permanent, the key of 2811, it's a permanent program. So unlike the talk of like on the insurance, this is not an opt-in, opt-out. It is permanent. It's for the life. It's just, that's how it is. Because then the state does a lot of, the state starts putting into the program for the counties. So key is timber production is its primary goal. And plus with wildlife, watershed protection, soils, recreation, all that gets wrapped in. The other part of the law, it's very specific. The state then agrees we're going to compensate the towns and we compensate the counties for the lands that are enrolled in the law. So it's a two-way street. 1928 was when the first county forest was formed, Lang Lake County. So we're coming up to 100 years. And in 2020, Adams County was the last county forest that entered into the law. The size of the county forest program, pretty huge. So Douglas County, over 281,000 acres. Then Adams County is at 740 acres. So pretty wide berth. We kind of block them into the 100,000 plus acre forests, the 50 to 100, and then the under 50. And it's a suite. It's almost an equal amount throughout. So total 2.41 million acres of county-owned lands. So it's the single largest public ownership in the state. Compare that, state lands, our department owns about 1.6 million, and that's split up between Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and then Division of Forestry. So our state forests, big wildlife areas, fisheries, flowages. Forest Service, 1.5 million. So when you're talking about public land in the state of Wisconsin, the county forests are the big dog, as we like to call it. They're the ones where, when you look in the north, the heavy recreation, where is it sitting on? It's sitting very heavy on county forest lands. Plus, it's a connectivity between state, federal, and county. And then you just think, I think it's funny, you can drive a snowmobile from one end of the state to the other, or go from one side to the other. And once you get really north of 64, you're almost going, so much of it's running through public lands. So big picture, again, timber is the number one, it's the primary purpose of the law. So in 25, all the counties collectively, they generated $46 million in stumpage revenues. So that's money directly goes into the counties. Of that, the county, the statute says 10%, a minimum of 10% must be paid back to the townships that that have lands within it. So 4.6 million go right back into the townships. On top of that, the state makes a payment on behalf of the county to the townships of an additional 63 cents an acre. It's not quite a PILT payment, but that's as close as we get it. So that's part of the guarantee back to the towns. We're going to help financially support you. All of that ties into the timber industry as a whole in the state. It is $24 billion. And when you add in the secondary, so the recycled, it's bigger than the cow industry in this state, between primary and secondary. Sorry for farmers, us tree guys, we kind of like that we're pretty important. So part of the commitment from DNR back to the counties, again, to ensure that we comply with the statute. So every county forest gets a liaison. I'm the lead liaison between the Division of Forestry and all of the counties. It's also a lead liaison between Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and those folks that work on county. But each county gets so Jeanette Kane, and she gets about 400 hours, 500. So we give direct technical services, no cost. Altogether, the state commits 46,000 hours of just technical services, foresters on the ground, technicians to the counties. So it equates to about 26 full-time employees. It's a huge commitment. It's a number one priority that the department looks at. It's like when we have our priorities that we have to hit, like an annual work goal, we have to hit that 46,000 hours. So it's critical. With that, the counties also get access to, I call them all of our ologists. So it's anybody with a whole lot of degrees, our forest health specialists, we have economists, we have statisticians, we've got our wildlife biologists, natural heritage conservation group, the ecologists, so anything with rare, threatened, endangered. These are all specialists that are here. So anytime Dalton has a question, he's got key people. These are the services we provide back. There's no cost of any of that. That's just our commitment to the counties because the county said we're going to enroll in the law. So this is part of our, just making it. Another big part, and this is a real core function of my job, is I'm a grant manager for all the counties. And altogether, it's about $8 million a year from the state that goes to the county forest program. The big one is the administrator grant. So we pay 50% of the salary and 50% of the fringe benefit for a forester that's like for Dalton or any of the administrators. So that's a huge lift. So altogether, between the 30 counties, we do about $1.8 million a year in salaries and benefits that we're covering. With that, there's also sustainable forestry grants. So these are for unanticipated, something, a salvage. That seems to be a big one. Salvage, you don't have it budgeted, like, oh, we have to go do replanting, or there's a major infrastructure that we didn't plan for. We've got culverts that are blowing out. So I get $500,000 a year and the counties just apply for a grant. It's just like every grant. You don't have to match. Here you go. There is a ranking process. So I get about $500,000 a year. Wildlife Habitat Grant. So that one, it's SEG money that I get. I turn it over to the Wildlife Bureau of Wildlife with DNR, and then all they do is send out a check back to the counties. And so this is every county, you get 10 cents for every acre. It's written in statute that, in fact, WCFA, the Wisconsin County Forest Association, just got that money back up to what statute said. Legislature years ago cut the funding in half, but statute was clear, they get 10 cents an acre. That is to go for really any project, wildlife-specific project. It could also be used for land acquisition, but this is where Dalton would work with the wildlife biologist. What kind of wildlife projects do we want? It could just be for mowing trails, for hunter walking trails. But that's an annual grant. As it was alluded to earlier, KN Stew, so Knowles Nelson, the program is still there. It just never got funded. But that was a big hit because I got $3 million a year that was available to the counties to then go buy land. And again, it's a grant, so there's the county would just have to come up with 50%. We'll see whatever the political hell we're all going to go through over the next 3 months till November comes along and the ads can end, and we'll see if that fires back up. It's a very contentious one, but it's hopefully because that has really benefited the county significantly. And in fact, the very first KN Stew in 2011 was Barron County. So you have the very first grant that program ever gave out when the counties got their own pot of money. So we give deals on nursery seedlings to the counties at 50% the cost. And then another biggie is, so are you all familiar with forest certification? Anybody in industry like ISO 9000 or 8000, that kind of? Okay, I am not going to bore you because I'd put you all to sleep. So anyway, forest certification is basically, it's a third party that we agree that we're going to be held to these standards. And there's a cost, there's a direct cost. We pay a company out of California. State of Wisconsin pays for that certificate on behalf of all the counties. So Barron County is dual certified. They get audited every 7 years. I have to do an internal audit. Basically, you're just looking at your system like, are you complying? Really, are you complying with the laws? Are you complying with the processes that we have set up? And are you matching what these two different standards are? But that runs us about $24,000 a year, plus we pay a couple other fees. So it all together, it runs about $27,000 that the state's paying on behalf of the counties because we knew that was going to be a burden for the counties. If they want to be certified, pulp and paper companies demand that we're certified so that they can tell their people, yep, we're getting it from Sustainable Forests. We always knew we were doing that, but the third party ensures that somebody else looks at us and says, yep, you're doing exactly what you're doing. And in fact, we just had an external audit, and for the third year in a row, we have a clean audit. No findings, no nothing. And when you look across the country on any public lands, there's no other program in this entire country that has a better program than the county forest. It is simply the gold standard for public land management. So y'all should be proud that Dalton's part of that, and he's gonna keep that going. So any questions? That's a whole lot. I took normally an hour and a half presentation and wrapped her into about like 15 minutes. Okay.
Supervisor Efforts had a question.
Can you hear me? Oh, yeah, there it is. My first question is, do you know the acreage that we want to buy now, how much tax comes from that for the county? Does anybody know? No, okay.
No, I
And
do not know.
the information that isn't all in our pamphlet, can I get any of that extra information? I just would like to look over it again. I'm fascinated by all the different money. I'm trying to get it all figured out where it's coming from and stuff. So
Yep, so all of this is segregated, Division of Forestry segregated account. It all comes out of the forestry account. It comes into my seg accounts. It all basically comes out of the conservation fund, which is backfilled by what used to be the mill tax that was eliminated. I believe Governor Walker eliminated the mill tax. But anyway, legislature said we're still going to do the milling. So it's like 1 penny on every $1,000 home, the value of the home. So it's just seg money. I get the pot. If I don't use the pot of money, it just goes away. It goes back. So this is all, it's conservation to forestry, Division of Forestry, segregate, and then I just get my own pot of money. So
like the one page that we have where it's showing the $57,000 that's going to the townships. Now, is that the 6 cents per acre that's going back to them? That was
nope. That's specifics for I have enough keeping my own accounts lined.
Sorry.
So I'll let Dalton handle that one.
yeah, I just want to, as we're contemplating it, I don't want to make sure that I've got it right in my head, you know, where what's what.
Yep.
I'm just trying to learn.
Yep.
Dalton, you want to answer that?
He's like, darn it.
Happy to answer any questions. So as it is in the state statute under the code with the County Forest Association program, we as a county have to pay 10% of our timber sale revenue back to the towns.
Okay, that's what because that was the other thing I was wondering if that was coming from the timber sales because.
Yep.
You know,
And so
I understand that.
by statute, we have to pay 10%. Barron County pays 30%.
Okay.
Because some of our revenues, just with our revenues, it helps offset. So we actually end up paying more than what's required of us. So that's why all the surrounding counties around us, Rusk, Burnett, Sawyer, Washburn, they're all at the minimum 10%. Polk is at 15 or 20%, but we pay more than when we have to help the towns out.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
question? Okay.
And then the 63 cents comes in on top of that. And that's just a direct payment from the department. It just goes right to the town treasurer. And we just send a letter, here's your severance payment.
Supervisor Patty Anderson, you had a question?
Yes, would you explain, so when you harvest in one area, do all of the areas that have forestry get a percentage?
Yes, so that timber revenue comes from all the timber sales, no matter if it's in Bear Lake Township or Vance Creek. All of that money gets pooled and then it gets distributed. So of that total revenue, 30% comes out, and then it's an acreage share from there. So it becomes, of the total enrolled acres, which is 16,330 acres, it gets divided up by each township. So for example, I believe Bear Lake Township is at about 25% of the total revenue share cost.
Okay, and we were able to do some paving last year with that money.
Good deal.
Supervisor McCready.
Little bit different question. Any of these lands that are listed here, are any of these lands huntable?
Yes, all 5 of the parcels that are in the packet, because there's a map in the packet, correct?
Okay.
All 5 of those parcels are huntable. Any land that is owned by the county is in the county forest program is huntable.
Thank you.
And open for any recreation, I might add. So on the proposed purchase there's 540s, and it connects to an existing county forest block that I guess internally we refer to as the Pipestone Quarry. But within the Pipestone Quarry, there is over 10 miles worth of trails, and some of those are designated hiking and biking trails. But overall, there's over 10 miles worth of trails for people to recreate on. And in fact, the Barron County Tourism, they contacted me and let me know that this week or next week, I believe, there's a commercial actually being filmed
Discover Wisconsin.
for Discover Wisconsin on that same Pipestone quarry block.
Supervisor Bukowski.
Two questions. First, this particular parcel, when was the last time it was logged? And question for you guys up here, you guys kind of confused me. The resolution is to purchase the property or to apply for the loan?
It's approving the purchase and applying for the loan, but obviously the it's going to be contingent upon us getting the loan. And so we're going to apply for the loan. If we receive it, then it's going to come back to this board and you're going to have a vote on whether you're going to actually borrow the money onto the loan. So this is a, we're telling the DNR, we want to purchase this, and we want to apply for this. But if we don't get the loan, obviously we're not going to buy it. So.
And does anybody know about the last time it was logged?
Yes, sir. So talking to the landowners that currently own the land, they said it was logged back in the 80s. So it's been quite some time since it was cut last. And it was selectively cut here and there. There was no major clear cuts or major timber harvesting on that property. And I just want to kind of go back a little bit. The purchase of this property is not, going to raise taxes at all. This is coming out of the General Forestry Fund, and of that General Forestry Fund, it was funded by timber sale revenue over how many ever years that Barron County has had land in the county forest program.
And do they have any plan to log it until the purchase?
They don't. They have mentioned nothing to me about logging anything. So,
Supervisor Heller.
From what we learned at Property Committee, this is actually a very good price. You negotiated a good price on the land. It's surrounded in three sides, basically by land that is already owned by the county. It's going to become an advantage for the county in that we're able to expand some of the trails and different things that we do for recreation. And as far as the land itself, it's going to be now a block that's entirely owned by Barron County.
Correct. Yes. So it is surrounded on three sides by road access. So there'd be three sides that would be able to connect just right off the dirt road or a county road. And so it would connect very nicely to the county forest system that we already have in place, because there's a 15-year plan that I inherited from the previous forester, and within that 15-year plan, there was an outline of that county forest block and every county forest block that we have of possible acquisition zones, and that if any land were to come up for sale in those areas, that I had permission to pursue this, because the landowner, I didn't pursue him or their family. They approached me about selling the property and wanting to keep the property as a whole and want to see it preserved as a forest and remain as a forest, because that's the great thing about this program is this land would remain forest land and available for people to use and recreate on for lifetimes. Because once it gets into the program, it's very, very hard to get out of the program. So it would remain forest blocks and it would remain whole instead of, yeah.
Doug, I mentioned before initially about how this program works. Could you just give a little more detail, how that?
Yep. If you want to go to the next slide, just go ahead and rip them. So there's two types of loans that the department offers. There's a variable acreage loan where every year a county can ask for up to 50 cents an acre per, just per acre. So for you, it'd be $8,000, you'd be eligible. The other is project loans. So we consider these are really for large purchases. Burnett County they borrowed $1 million from the department for building their forestry, because they tied their forestry and their highway department together. So one of the first checks I ever cut was $1 million, which is kind of cool. It's like, I just new at this. I was like, big boy money. So the other really has been the land acquisition. It's been the matching for KN stewardship. That's where a lot of the loans go to. We are the best bank in the world. There's interest free. There's no term. And as long as you cut a cord of wood or you close out 1 cord of wood in a year, we just charge 20% of the gross. So he has to report annually to us every year. All the timber sales, we have to close out and approve them. And then we do it quarterly. So really March, July, September, October, he'll get an invoice. It'll just be, you have 30 days to pay. You closed out, I'm just doing easy math, $100,000 worth of timber sales. Here's an invoice for 20 grand. And then we invoice, pay it. And then the loan, if you don't cut any timber or close out any timber sales in a year, okay, you don't. The life of it's just not right. Now, there have been questions by other counties. Does that affect, I believe it's your bond rating? I want to make sure if I'm in the right.
Yeah, I don't believe it affects our bond rating at all. I
Yep.
don't believe it goes against our 5% equalize either, so.
Yep, that's what my understanding, because it's an interest-free and there's no end, it doesn't tie anything. It's like, it's just the way the loan functions. The other bonus of what happens is when a county pays back the loan within a year, it actually, within a fiscal year, that money then slides into another account of mine. I can then reissue that money back out. So I start out at the beginning of every fiscal year, I start out with about $400,000. By come March with paybacks, because there's a lot of loans out there, my total account rise to about 1.5 million. I have a lot of purchasing power. So in this case, it might be, you'll be approved. We're going to have to wait until March when my accounts get lifted up. And then at the end of the year, if I don't have other loans being issued, the money goes, I have no idea what black hole it goes into. All I know is it goes into a black hole somewhere in DNR. I really never look, because I worry about the money coming in, not what's going out. And then I start all over at 400,000 again. Really, it is that simple. There's no strings, there's no tie. The request is a simple letter with a resolution. The chief state forester does the approval on it, and then I encumber the funds, and then we wait for you to say, give us the money. And again, it's another simple letter. We don't over-engineer any of this. This program has worked very well over the course. I believe I want to say we're in the $70 to $80 million we have loaned out to counties over the course of these that have paid back. It's just it's a winner. So.
Supervisor Efforts, you have another question?
Yeah. So the total loan is about $596,000, or the total cost, and half of that is going to come from a loan from your departments. Is that, and then the other half is going to be we have to get it in the budget. Is that what this paper is saying?
No. So 50% of the loan for 50% of the project, we would apply for the loan through the DNR. So it'd be roughly 300,000 is what we would apply for. The other 300,000 would come out of the general forestry fund from revenue that we've created over, ever since the county forest has been cut.
Okay. Your general fund, not our general fund. Got it.
Right.
It just says general fund balance, and
Jeff will
I thought
answer
it
that
was.
too.
No, through the years, we have not had a loan supervisor efforts. So the general fund has been accruing money for X number of years. I've been here 26 years now. We did have a forestry loan, and we paid back the 20%. For many years, we've been putting 70% of the forestry cuttings into the general fund. So there's only one general fund balance. What Dalton is explaining to you is that his department, his revenue stream has been putting additional 20%, I believe, into the general fund. So there's money, but the bottom line is it comes out of the unassigned fund balance of the county, one half. The other half is a loan. Then that money that this will generate additional forestry revenue off of this property and put that money back into the general fund as a revenue. We budgeted, I think we're going to budget $175,000 in 2027, I think is what you said. And talking to Doug and just, this group approved hiring a forester because we were not getting the forestry loan admin. And Doug's nodding yes, we did not get that loan because we did not have a qualified forester. County board chose to have Mr. Big, but to have Dalton be here. And as a result, we're going to get 50% of his salary and fringe. And so, again, I stress, there's no interest. We have lots of time to pay this. As we cut, Dalton will manage that. We'll pay back the DNR. It's really a win-win. And there's 200 acres. It's in our block. It's in our plan. And what's critical to understand is the family approached Dalton. We didn't approach them.
Supervisor Fowler.
I was just going to say the same thing. The owner came to us. It's a great piece of land, and he's been very, very flexible, I think, up to this point, right? He's very patient and wants this to happen, so thanks.
Yeah, and they've expressed wanting to keep it whole, and that's, a great thing for us and for them, is being able to keep it whole and as one block, and being able to keep it as productive forest land, because as Doug said, the forest product industry is huge in the state of Wisconsin.
Go ahead.
I just want the board too, and Doug, would you please chime in? What we cut is audited. It's audited both for financially and for compliance. I believe there's other audits. I believe you, at least when I was finance director, Doug, you even audited the percentages to make sure the townships were made completely whole. So there's checks and balances. If you vote for this, there are checks and balances. The DNR comes in and makes sure everything is spot on. I believe you used to calculate the 2 or 3 digits on the percentage. Four. Okay, so they're very accurate on what the towns are going to get. So there's no, there's just really almost every check and balance you can think of to make sure the towns are made whole on this for revenue.
Any other questions?
I've got one comment.
Okay.
I think one thing that's important to remember is that, and Dalton touched on this, is that, the county board approves a 15-year comprehensive forest plan. And it's a rather impressive document if you look at the size of it. And each of our county forest blocks have an outline, and those are the boundary acquisition areas. And these 540s are within that. And so, the directive from the county board to the forester and to the employees is to, if something comes up for sale, to attempt to acquire that. And that's what we did. And I worked with Dalton on this. We haven't done one for a while, quite a while. And so, it's a fair amount of work, and we got the project all put together. But I can tell you that I've been here for a long time, and I've never seen an opportunity to get 200 acres in your forest block that matches up to what we've got is a very nice forest block there already to fill in that top corner. And I can honestly tell you that you'll never see this opportunity again. So, that's just something to consider. You don't have to look very far to see what other counties do with their county forest. Just across the line, in fact, right next to our rifle range in Maple Plain, across into the Burnett County side, what they're doing in their forest between Casta, we've got a small Casta ski area, but across the county line, they've got a massive one. They've got biking trails in there, they've got hunting trails, walking trails. And I think that we benefit from Burnett County's use of that forest because they're coming to Cumberland and to Rice Lake and to Barron, and they're going to the gas stations, they're going to the restaurants, they're going to the motels, and we benefit from sales tax, but we benefit from, the businesses benefit from it as well. I think, as Dalton said, there's like 10 miles of trails out in this existing block. There's a biking trail group from Chippewa Falls, I think, that came up and did some of the construction on it. You wouldn't believe what biking trails, the activity, and how far people will go to use those. So as far as tourism, it's a great opportunity. In any case, I just wanted to say that, Barron County will never see an opportunity to do something like this again. I think it's a great investment.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. It was a great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, now we've got a motion and a second. Is there any additional questions or comments? Not, let's vote. That passed with actually 3/4, but anyway, the 23 yes and 6 absent because Stacy just had to leave. So thank you, everybody. Okay, item number 12, which we pulled, but I do want to just say we're having a lot of public meetings here with everything that's going on in the county. So be careful when you're attending those meetings that you're speaking for yourself and not for the county. Because when it comes down to it, it's basically Jeff and John and I typically speak for the county. So don't get yourself caught in a bind by, especially, the papers are there and people, they hold you to what you say. So, and another thing, when we have closed sessions, again, just a reminder, it stays in that closed session. Okay, item number 13, zoning ordinance amendment, rezoning Town of Lakeland, Tanja Metnick, owner. Okay, well, we are going to vote on it.
Just put yes.
We got a motion by Supervisor Efforts, seconded by Supervisor Jenkins. Can we vote on that? All right, let's vote. Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, we don't want that.
Unfortunately, with the current software, it doesn't let me pull the agenda, push through it, so that's what I'm trying.
Just vote no.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we got to get something different. Hey, why don't we just, we got this code of ordinances here. Motion by Supervisor Efforts, second by Supervisor Jenkins. Why don't we just vote no and get it out of here? Vote no.
Make sure you note that in the minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got to pull that software. We got to get rid of these guys.
I
They're
know.
a problem.
I
All
know,
the time.
every time.
We got to get rid of them. Fire them. I don't care what we're paying them. That's too much. Paying them more than $1. It's $1 too much.
Okay, that's 23 no and 6 absent. Thanks, everybody. Now on to item number 13, zoning ordinance amendment, rezoning Town of Lakeland, Tanja Metnick, owner. Motion by Supervisor Jenkins, seconded by Supervisor McCready. Any concerns? Seeing none, let's vote. That passed 23 yes, 6 absence. Thank you. Item number 14, zoning ordinance amendment, rezoning Town of Cumberland, Scott and Mary Bayfield, Bellify, owners. Motion by Supervisor Jenkins, seconded by Supervisor Gores. Any concerns? Seeing none, let's vote. And that passed 22 yes and 7 absent. I guess somebody else left, huh? Oh, okay. Jim, is that a yes? All right. Yeah, we got 23 yes and 6 absent. Thank you. Item number 15, report from the county administrator.
Just two things. We were looking at refinancing our waste energy debt through Ellers. The interest rates have not dropped, so we will not be doing that. There were revisions to the Office of Management budget. I can tell you that has been postponed till December 11th. The appointments are to reestablish our Community Development Block Grant Committee with Supervisor Efforts, Sandman, and Wentz. We will notify you when we'll explain what that is, but for right now, I want that committee reconstituted with these supervisors.
Yes. Are we voting on 16? Okay, so Jeff went into the appointments. Let's vote on that. Motion by Supervisor Mullen, seconded by Supervisor Olson. Now let's vote on it. Twenty-three yes and 6 absent. Thank you. Claims, petitions, correspondence? We have none. Suggestions for future agenda items, we will be having a special meeting, the Committee of the Whole on August 31, 2026, here in the auditorium at 1 o'clock. We'll have Mark O'Connell from the Executive Director and President of WCA, as well as the Tolos Law, to explain how you go about having a moratorium if we would decide to do that, and also to talk about the pros and cons of data centers. Supervisor Patty Anderson.
Am I allowed to say something about Saturday and the Veterans Outreach, how wonderful it was, the presentation? I stayed for the whole thing, and it was amazing how many veterans came to get their information that they needed. It was well presented by Shelley and Casey. And then also just to comment on the new Barron County Fairest of the Fair. She did a presentation for Princesses in the Park in Hagen, and she had 31 princesses, so she's an awesome representative of the county.
Okay, good, thanks. And then we'll have the first draft of the 2027 budget and a presentation on the county fair and financials. Is that, we don't have the date yet?
September, October, yep.
September, October, okay. Next meeting date will be September 14th. That's the second Monday. The reason we have that because the WCA conference is the third Monday. So it is the second Monday, September 14th here at 5 o'clock. Is there anything else? See, if there's no objections, we'll adjourn by unanimous consent at 6:35.